This is Seasons of Discontent with your hosts Rick Snyder and Matt Combs.
Welcome to Seasons of Discontent, Season 9, Episode 3, brought to you by Rick Snyder's Washington on YouTube and other social media. And I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
And we're back discussing all things Washington sports and life. So get ready for this. Hit the subscribe, comment, or especially that thanks button so Matt cannot go hungry. All right. Last week we had a big turnout. It seems Twitter made you a star, man. You had like thousands of people watching. Like, and yeah, you're a big
deal. Me. You really like me.
There you go. It happens to me. I sound like Kermit the Frog. So our fortunes are going opposite directions.
Yeah, and by special request, the Buy Dan banner is back.
There you go. Tell the first one. Then he's gone. Then it's history.
Yeah, it's still fun. Hey, we got 23 years to make up for, Rick.
You know, it's funny. We talked to Ron Rivera today. I watched on Zoom. And basically said, hey, what's up with Chase and Terry and all these guys? He goes, I'll have to tell you till tomorrow. So I'll see you Wednesday. It's like, okay, thanks, Ron. I appreciate it. He's like, well, they're not telling us the quarterback. And I was like, yeah, it is kind of a weird thing. I mean, they're playing the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday. 7-point favorites, should be 50-point favorites. Arizona got rid of the Colt McCoy. It's like they said, screw it. He might actually win a game once in a while. So we're tanking all the way out of this one.
Mm-hmm.
A couple guys that aren't Brady or Rodgers. I don't know who they are. It doesn't really matter. Ron said they'll play whoever it is. But what do you think a real win, whatever Arizona would be like for the fans? Would winning 17-14 be enough and just win? Or do you got to crush them into the ground?
I don't know. Expectations seem to be pretty high from what we've seen from the offense in preseason, and obviously, you know, with everything with Bieniemy coming in, and you know, we're expecting a high-powered offense. We have really good wideouts. House seems to play the part. I do caution everybody that the offensive line is not that good, and they're only going to go as far as that O-line. But then again, also you look, the Arizona Cardinals are one of 32 professional teams. They're still a professional football team. This isn't UVA coming in and playing Washington. So I don't think you necessarily need to beat them down. I think that the atmosphere at the stadium will be good. You come along with a win for Josh Harris and the new owners groups on their first chance. Apparently it's a sellout. I don't know. You can elaborate a little bit more on that for me. But I think that I think a win will be, okay, well, we were supposed to win. Let's see what a regular season team looks like. But a loss, you lose. All that goodwill that's been built up over the past couple of weeks is gone, boy.
Yep. Seasons of Discontent is back and forth.
Yeah, for real, right?
Oh, man. And, you know, they used to call them trap games. And I saw there was one late in the 90s, late in the season. Washington goes to Arizona. They're supposed to kick their butt, and they got rolled. I don't remember what it was. And you say, there you go. Got ahead of yourself too much. So we'll talk more about that game.
But I will say this real quick before you switch. The thing is, the national media is giving Sam Howell no chance. They're calling him the 32 ranked quarterback in the league. You know, they're putting rookies over top of him. You know, they're really calling. They've always been blasting Bieniemy, saying that it's Andy Reid's offense and he's not going to be anything without Andy Reid and blah blah blah. So this is a game that they have to go out and prove. You know, that they read the national headlines just like you and I do. They have to go out and prove themselves and prove this national media wrong. So I do think that they'll go out with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. You know, that's just my feeling. I don't think they're going to go out there. I don't think it's necessarily a trap game, and I don't think they're going to go out there and just expect to win. I mean, we've seen that with teams where they just, you know, hey, we're expected to win by big numbers. Let's go, you know, let's just, all we got to do is walk out on the field and we're instantly going to win. I don't think they're going to have that mentality.
All right, so Terry McLaurin and Chase Young have injuries. Chase has a stinger. It's about a month old now. Terry's got a turf toe. Well, not turf toe. I shouldn't say a toe injury. That's about 2 or 3 weeks old now. We'll find out Wednesday, and I don't expect Ron to really even tell us then. He'll probably give us one of these maybes, because they don't have, because maybe they will, maybe they won't. It's hard to tell. I mean, especially Nervin. But Chase particularly bothers me in that, he's in practice. He's not hitting anybody, but he's standing there in practice going through things. So he's not just sitting on the couch. But some doctor is holding off, and I thought, okay, this ain't good. Would you play these two guys in this first game?
Terry, I would not. I think that you can get away with Dotson, Samuel, De'Ami Brown, and maybe throw, obviously you're going to throw to Logan if he's available. I think they'll rely on the run game as well. I don't think you really need Terry. I think you're going to need him more towards the back end of the schedule when you're fighting, for positioning. Chase, I would play Chase Young because realistically, what has he done? What has he done for the past 2 seasons, Rick? He's done nothing. He went out and he hurt his leg and he was on the shelf for a year, or had a knee injury, was on a shelf for a year, came back, showed nothing in the couple games that he played last year. And now you're on the sideline for a shoulder stinger. Come on, man. I mean, Ray Lewis is beating the desk wondering why in the hell you're not playing.
Well, I mean, this is a money year for Chase too. So if he's ever going to be motivated, it's it, because
I don't see it. I don't see it. I've soured on Chase Young. I don't know how you feel. I don't know how the people watching feel, but I've kind of soured on him. It's very reminiscent of another number 2 overall pick of this team, where you go out, you have a pretty good rookie season, and then your injuries start creeping in, and maybe you're made of glass a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I never know with stinger injuries, because nerve injuries, and I've had one, they're not as transparent. You're not limping, kind of thing. But man, it feels like electricity is hitting you. So I hate to criticize a player on that level. Having said that, I've said about Chase, I think he likes being a football player more than he likes playing football. And, I can't, I'm not the one who's got to tell you what your pain level is. You should know. But I mean, it's a lot of important parts of this all coming together. So if it's just a doctor holding you back, you can tell a doctor, hey man, come on. But nerve injuries they're different than, muscle injuries or bone injuries. They're harder to diagnose. You don't see them as much. Basically, you got your nerve smashed, Think about it, you got your hand caught in a door. It didn't break anything. It didn't spoil anything, but it hurts.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard. I would probably not play either if they're both just not ready. I don't think you're going to see the game plans of Bieniemy or Del Rio until week 3. I don't know if I talked about this last week, but you don't need your whole game plan to beat Arizona, supposedly. Okay, let's just say that you go out there and win. You don't have to show anything. And then Denver, you can show some of it, but really you're holding back for week 3, because Buffalo, you got to figure out any way you can to beat them, because they're the better team. And so you don't show some of this stuff, So I think keeping McLaurin and Young and I don't know, Logan Thomas or whatever, you may just buy yourself another week with these kind of guys.
McLaurin is more pivotal to this team in the long run than Chase Young. I mean, he just is. McLaurin is a leader of this team, and he wants to play. Like you said, Chase is more worried about being on the sidelines, knowing where the cameras are, so he can be shown in his t-shirt and sweatpants.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just think, I don't think Chase will be here next year. I don't think his production will merit what they have to pay him.
Right.
I know Tomlin in Pittsburgh will be sitting there going, yeah, I can make this work with him. He's openly eyed him for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And coaches always say, yeah, it didn't work out in Washington because they didn't understand you like I do. And I can turn you into something. And sometimes it works, but usually it doesn't. You're usually the guy wherever you. So I just don't see it. I see him keeping Sweat more, but we'll see there.
Just a 2-point conversion away.
Yeah. And then the sellout. Is it really a sellout? Well, it depends on how you count tickets, because it's like the old TV blackout rules. They say it has to be X amount. Well, for one thing, it has to be X amount of the stadium's first original seat count. So when they opened, they were like 65,000, I think was the first seat count. Then they got up to 891. But the blackout rule always applied to 65. And it doesn't account the premium seats. Don't count in that. So is it a sellout? No. I noticed at the end of the game book, where they have all the stats and everything, it now says paid attendance in this number because I made fun of them for so many years because of the Lion.
Mhm.
They've admitted now that they haven't had a real sellout in like 10 years.
Mhm.
But they'd always put up these 74,000 things. It's such a lie. Now, paid attendance, I can't argue with because I'm not there counting the receipts, but I can see who's in seats.
Mhm.
Like the second week, they say paid attendance 54,000 for the Baltimore game. Nah, it's more like 30,000 there, kind of. So you never know. But they will be Commanders fans. There's no how many Cardinals fans.
Yeah, there's not very many Cardinals fans out here. Plus, look, there's a lot of factors going into this game. It's not just the game because obviously, a lot of people expect them to win. A lot of people are anxious to see this new offense. They're interested to see Sam Howell and what he can do. But I think that just the aura of this is the first game without Dan. I think that black cloud has gone over Landover. It's now gone. It's dissipated. Josh Harris and company have already come in and they're trying to maximize the game day experience by improvements. What did they just announce? Like $40 million in renovations to FedEx Field. So I think there is a feeling in the air that people need to be there. Like this is like one of those events. You know what I mean? This is you're not necessarily a Commanders fan. You're not necessarily a Cardinals fan. It's a big event that you need to say that you were at and have the ticket for.
Yeah. I love it. They said beer prices will be basically half.
Good.
And I thought, just shows you how much money you make on all this stuff.
Well, they had no business selling beers for $11 a piece.
Well, I thought they were more than that. I thought they were like 14.
Oh, were they? I haven't been, honestly, I have not been to FedEx Field.
I think it was 14.
It's been 5 years probably, and that was a preseason game.
I mean, I leave it to people to spend your money on what you want. I think you're nuts, but that's your business and your money on it. To get blot, at least I've always been told a third of the crowd is drunk.
Mm-hmm.
From my friends in the stands, I ask them routinely, they'll say a third. All right, it's your business. You want to get drunk is all. How much the average fan. I got a poll today. Some group did a study on how much it costs to go to games for a family of 4. I don't always believe these things because I look at them and go, that's not right. That's not right. But believe it or not, Commanders are below the league average by a good bit. $477, which is about $75 less than the average to go for a family of 4. The most expensive one, the Raiders. I believe the cheapest tickets on the Raiders are $1,200 and $100 to park. $100 to park. 20-ounce beer is $20 there. The 20-ounce soda is $14 there. I mean, a hot dog. But they got hot dogs for 4 hot dogs is $12. Now, right there, that's wrong. I mean, hot dogs are like $6, $8 or something.
Yeah.
Philly's the second, Kansas City's third. I know Vegas is skewed because the casinos buy so much of stuff for high rollers and such, but Washington, was down a ways, $477, $60 to park. I thought it was 50, but whatever. $13.50 for a beer, that's about right. $24 for 4 hot dogs. There you go. So if Vegas is selling them for that little, I wonder why we're not selling them for that little, but whatever. The cheapest place to go in the league, the Atlanta Falcons, $241, and you can't have Chick-fil-A that day.
Well, that's because when Arthur Blank built that new stadium, they made it a point to make concessions affordable. I think a soda is like $3-4, a hot dog is like $2. Like they're not that stadium when they built it. He made it a point that concessions. He wants to be able to have the family of 4 come to a game on a Sunday and enjoy their experience and not be broke for a month afterwards.
And it's only fair if you're asking for taxpayer money to do that.
Exactly.
That's why I wish Virginia the best of luck in D.C. getting the stadium and not take our Maryland tax dollars.
Yeah.
Right. You go overpay this stuff, because the average fan can't afford to go. So,
well, and I remember when they first built Arizona Stadium, parking was free. But, I don't know how it is around the league at other places, but parking for Arizona used to be free. But, that's also because the stadium was built in the middle of the desert. They had room to build extra parking.
Man, when I used to go to cover Arizona games before the new stadium, it was on the Arizona State College campus.
Mm-hmm.
Coolest thing to go see because, I mean, you'd like walk past diving competitions, the college and all. and as every blonde woman in the West went to college there. I mean, it was around there. So I could see where it was free because it was on a college campus and that kind of thing.
No, I'm talking about with the new one, with
the new one, but the old one was like that.
Okay.
And it was free parking. I don't know if the new one is.
I always want to call it Pink Taco Stadium because that was the guy that wanted to buy the naming rights. I know they didn't name it that, but I think it's like University of Phoenix Stadium or something.
Yeah, it's like the airport too. I think of that now.
That's Sky Harbor.
That's right. Well, there's something else is out there with the university. It's a cool town. I enjoy covering those games.
I love Arizona.
It was always especially if you go out at Christmas and all the cactus have Christmas lights on them. Yeah, it was a different kind of place.
Oh yeah. I went in the middle of October and it was 90 degrees out.
Yeah, it was, and nobody was there early back then. But
I know.
New venue. So all right. So I guess before we go, we can talk about the Nationals because people were asking a week ago. They were like, "Hey, the Nats are going great. Think they can make the wild card?" Boom, man. That's happened since. I don't think they've scored since. I mean, I was like, what happened? You guys were doing so great, and then suddenly you remembered who you were.
Well, their rotation got messed up. Mackenzie Gore's out for bereavement leave. I think he lost his grandmother or somebody like that. And then JoJo Gray had a little bit of an injury. He had tweaked something, so he was out for a while. I know he pitched yesterday and didn't look very good, but yeah, I mean, look, they are where they're supposed to be. I mean, you just kind of got to hope that some of these draft picks work out and you can get these guys up quicker than you need to. And I mean, look, Strasburg's numbers are going to come off the books. He's going to apparently retire in 4 days. So, hopefully they can come to some sort of an agreement there to save the Nationals some money. You got to get that Corbin contract off the books, and then you got to go out and you got to supplement your roster with free agency. And honestly, Rick, I don't see that being the case until the sale is completed, because the team is still for sale. The Lerners will not sell until a certain price is met. We had talked in the past. We know Ted had made a bid for him because Ted bought NBC Sports Network here in Washington and is converting it to Monumental Sports. Ted, I didn't get my phone call. But anyway, he wants to have all three of his teams on the same network. So I know he really wants the Nats, but they're not going to budge on a price, and I don't know if he's going to meet their price.
Well, it's been a fun year. So, all right, we got to get out of here before I lose my voice completely. And we'll be back again on Thursday night. I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
See you soon.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Seasons of Discontent with your hosts, Rick Snyder and Matt Combs.